A small portion of this video is sponsored by Squarespace, the ultimate platform for designing your stunning new website. Hey guys, Mark here, and I've been using Samsung's new S21 Ultra for about a month and a half. And in that time, I've been trying my hardest to find problems or issues with this phone, because not every phone is perfect. Most phones will have some sort of Achilles heel that stops me from recommending it to a certain group or even a large number of people. But that's not the case with this phone, and I'd almost go as far as to say that the S21 Ultra could be the endgame for the typical Android phone. Let me explain. Over the past decade, we've seen hundreds, if not thousands, of Android phones come and go, but almost all of them follow the same kind of formula. Marquez calls it the glass sandwich. There's a screen on the front, some cameras and branding on the back, and that's about it. Most of these phones have a set of pros and cons that might make you choose one over the other. Some phones might have a better, sharper screen, but might have a mediocre set of cameras. Others could have a powerful CPU and excellent performance, but poor battery life. You almost always have to compromise in some way or the other. But the S21 Ultra? It's the full package. The display is darn near perfect. It's super sharp at 1440p, super fast at 120Hz refresh rate, and even though it might be a little on the big side for some at 6.8 inches, it's an amazing screen overall. You can even use an S Pen with it if you're into taking notes on your phone. You'd think that using a phone at a high resolution and high refresh rate would be a battery decimator, but that's just not the case with the S21 Ultra. It has a huge 5,000 mAh battery, and I can easily hit 6 hours of screen on time before I get anywhere close to needing to recharge. Plus, if you drop the resolution or the frame rate, you'll get even more battery life. The Ultra also has an insanely versatile camera system that can do just about anything you ask of it. Want to shoot from 2 cameras at once? Sure. 100x zoom? No problem. 8K video? Why not? It's got a 108 megapixel main sensor, a periscoping 10x optical zoom lens, and it even uses a laser to help out the autofocus. Here's a few sample photos I've taken in the time that I've had this phone. For the most part, they're top notch, and other than a few autofocus hiccups here and there, the cameras are very reliable. The only real issue I could find with the cameras on this phone is the presence of a little bit of shutter lag when taking certain photos, and not even that annoys me enough to talk about for more than 10 seconds. The Ultra is a great looking phone too. The back of this phone might not be to absolutely everyone's taste, but when I threw this $15 Spigen case onto it, I was sold. It looks super stealthy in this matte black color, and I love it. Link in the description down below if you're interested. And after all of that, I haven't even mentioned how fast this phone is with the Snapdragon 888 and either 12 or 16 gigs of RAM, depending on the model you buy. The S21 Ultra is just jam-packed with high-end specs in every area, whether it be the display, the cameras, the battery, or the SoC. When I said the S21 Ultra could be the end game for the typical Android phone, I chose my words very carefully. The term end game, as it pertains to a game of chess, is the final stages of the game where there are very few pieces left on the board to play. There are a small number of moves left to make before the game is over. I suspect that one of the reasons why Samsung is working so diligently on these new alternate form factors like the Z Flip and the Fold are because they know that they're approaching that zenith, that peak where their top-end phones are nearing the best they could possibly be in this current form factor. They have very few moves left to make here. Sure, they could continue to iterate by making the cameras slightly better or throwing in a slightly faster CPU year over year, but those aren't really big enough or exciting enough features to drive someone to go out and buy a new phone, especially one that costs this much. Samsung needs to continue to innovate in this space, otherwise people like us are going to start looking at their newest phones and saying, yeah, it's a great phone, but it's pretty much the same as the last 2 phones they made. This isn't a new discussion. This sort of conversation has been ongoing for a while, at least over the past few years or so. But the reason I'm bringing it up here again is because I don't think there has been a phone that has come this close to reaching that point as the S21 Ultra has. There are very, very few things I could think of to mention that would improve this phone as a whole. Maybe once the invisible front-facing camera tech matures and improves, they could get rid of the hole punch in the screen for a more, immersive experience, but I don't really think it's that big of a deal. It's not like the hole punch is distracting or anything. I do want to talk a little bit more about how Samsung could improve this next iteration of this phone, but first I have to pay some bills and take a quick minute to thank the sponsor of this video, Squarespace. Squarespace is awesome, and I've used them many times over the years. It's an inclusive platform that comes with everything you need to build professional websites, online stores, portfolios, and more. They've got a ton of features, and they make it very easy to build a website that not only looks great, but performs well too. They've got search engine optimization tools for ensuring your site gets found on sites like Google, email campaigns for spreading all of your messages, e-commerce tools for setting up an online store, and a whole bunch of other stuff to get your website up and running. I'm currently working on a website for my Tech Rewind series where I can make a blog post about each phone I review, and working with the Squarespace platform has been super easy and actually quite a bit of fun to play around with. Head on over to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/MarkSpurrell to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or a custom domain. Thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this part of the video, and now let's get back to that Ultra. There are some things that Samsung has cut out of the Ultra from last year that they should definitely bring back, like the micro SD card slot and the charging brick that used to come in the box. In my personal opinion though, dropping the price down from its high $1,200 price tag to something a little bit more affordable could be the biggest thing that Samsung could improve on in the next iteration of this phone. The other thing they could do is offer multiple sizes of the Ultra that has all the same bells and whistles. Now don't get me wrong, I love how big this display is, but a lot of the times I find myself wishing that it was a little bit smaller and easier to handle. They could do a version with a 6-inch display as well as a one with a 6.8-inch display, kind of like Apple does with the Pro and Pro Max. In any case, it's been almost 45 days since I swapped over to the S21 Ultra as my main phone, and at this point I feel confident in saying that it is my favorite Android phone that I've used to date. Actually, I'll go a step farther than that. It is the best Android phone in this form factor that money can currently buy. No other phone on the market right now ticks off this many boxes in all areas across the phone, and if you've got the cash to spend, it's definitely worth it. If you haven't already, I recommend watching my full review of the S21 Ultra if you're thinking really hard about picking up one of these yourself. And if you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to support my channel. And as always, have a great day.